They say silence is golden, but sometimes silence is the sharpest weapon you can use. When I cleaned my wife's car and found a tube of lubricant under her seat, I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I just said nothing, because deep down, I already knew what was coming. It started like any other Saturday morning in early spring. The kind of day where the sun feels warm, but the breeze still carries a hint of winter's chill. My wife, Lisa, came downstairs in her yoga pants and tank top, her hair pulled back in that messy bun she always wore on weekends. She looked at me with those hazel eyes that had once made my heart race and said, "Babe, could you clean my car today? I'm absolutely exhausted after yoga yesterday. My legs are killing me." I looked up from my coffee and smiled. Of course. No problem. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 8. I still loved doing small things for her. It was how I showed love, how I contributed to our life together. She worked as a marketing manager at a tech startup downtown, pulling long hours and dealing with demanding clients. I worked from home as a software developer, which gave me flexibility. Cleaning her car, doing the grocery shopping, making dinner most nights, these weren't chores to me. They were acts of love. I grabbed the vacuum from the garage, a bucket of cleaning supplies, and headed to her silver Honda Accord parked in the driveway. It was a beautiful day, really. Birds chirping, neighbors mowing lawns, the smell of someone grilling even though it was barely noon. Everything felt normal. Peaceful even. I started with the exterior, washing away the winter grime and road salt that had accumulated over the past few months. Then I moved to the interior. The driver's side was relatively clean. Lisa had always been neat about her personal space. But the passenger side and back seat were littered with empty coffee cups, receipts, a few protein bar wrappers, and a gym bag she'd apparently forgotten about. I cleaned methodically, the way I did everything. Trash out first, then surfaces wiped down, then vacuum. I was working on the passenger side, running the vacuum under the seat to catch any debris that had fallen into that dark space we never really look at. That's when my hand brushed against something. At first, I thought it was just another piece of trash. Maybe a chapstick or a pen that had rolled under there. But when I pulled it out, my breath caught in my throat. It was a small black tube, sleek, modern packaging. I recognized what it was immediately. A tube of lubricant. But not the kind we ever used. Not the brand we had at home in our nightstand drawer. Not even the same type. This was a more expensive brand, the kind marketed toward couples looking for something premium. My stomach dropped like I'd just missed a step going downstairs. That sickening lurch that tells you something is very, very wrong. I sat back on my heels, staring at the tube in my hand. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe she'd bought it as a surprise? But why would it be in her car, under the passenger seat? Maybe a friend had left it. But what friend leaves lubricant in someone else's car? The logical part of my brain, the part that solved coding problems and debugged complex systems, started working through the variables. The passenger seat, not the driver's seat. Under the seat, not in the glove compartment or center console. Hidden, whether intentionally or by accident. I felt my heart pounding in my chest, but I forced myself to breathe slowly. To think. To not jump to conclusions, even though my gut was already screaming the truth at me. I looked at the tube again. The seal had been broken. It had been used. That's when I made my decision. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm into the house demanding explanations. I didn't take a photo and send it to her with angry texts. Instead, I finished cleaning the car. I vacuumed under that passenger seat until there wasn't a single crumb left. I wiped down every surface until it gleamed. And I put the tube back exactly where I found it, nestled in the shadows under the passenger seat. Then I went inside. Lisa was in the living room, scrolling through her phone on the couch. She looked up when I walked in and smiled. "All done? You're the best, babe." "Yeah, it's sparkling now," I said, my voice steady. I even managed a smile. "Thank you so much. I owe you one." She blew me a kiss and went back to her phone. "I owe you one." The phrase echoed in my head as I walked upstairs to our bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall, my mind spinning. That night, I watched her. Really watched her. The way I used to when we first started dating, memorizing every detail, except now I was looking for different things. How she avoided sustained eye contact during dinner. How she smiled at her phone a little too often, angling the screen away from me. How she said she was tired and went to bed early, but I could hear her phone buzzing with notifications from the bathroom. I didn't say a word. I wanted to see what she'd do when she thought I didn't know. Over the next week, patterns emerged. Lisa started coming home later. Monday, it was work. We had a crisis with the Johnson account. Tuesday, traffic was insane. There was an accident on the highway. Wednesday, she texted saying she was grabbing drinks with her colleague Michelle and would be home by 9, but she didn't get home until after 11. But it was the small details that gave her away. Her perfume smelled different when she came home. Underneath her own scent was something else. Cologne. Men's cologne. Not my cologne. The collar of her blouse was slightly wrinkled in a way that suggested hands had been there. She was more distant in bed, claiming exhaustion, headaches, stress. And she was taking her phone everywhere. Bathroom, kitchen, even when she went out to grab the mail. It never left her sight. I said nothing. I played the role of the loving, oblivious husband. I made dinner. I asked about her day. I laughed at her jokes. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings, and hello when she came home. But inside, I was documenting everything. I noted times, dates, inconsistencies in her stories. I paid attention to when she said she was in meetings, but I could see through the window reflection in a selfie she posted to Instagram that she was actually in a car. Not her car. Someone else's. So I made a plan. Quietly. Methodically. The way I approached everything in my life. First, I secured our finances. I opened a new bank account at a different bank and started diverting a portion of my paycheck there. Not enough that she'd notice, but enough to give me a cushion. I organized all our financial documents, mortgage papers, loan information, credit card statements, investment accounts. I made copies of everything. Then I addressed the evidence problem. I needed proof, irrefutable proof that would hold up in court if it came to that. I couldn't just rely on a tube of lubricant and my suspicions. I researched dashboard cameras extensively. I needed something small, discreet, with good video quality, even in low light. Motion activated, with cloud storage, so she couldn't destroy the evidence even if she found the device. I found one that was barely larger than a USB drive, designed to blend in with the car's interior. On a Thursday morning, after Lisa left for work, I went out to her car. I installed the camera in a vent on the passenger side dashboard, angled to capture both front seats. It was virtually invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. The setup connected to my phone. I'd receive notifications whenever motion was detected, and all footage would upload automatically to a secure cloud server. Then I waited. Friday was normal. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, the camera caught her driving to the grocery store and back. Monday, just her commute. But Tuesday night at 8:07 p.m., I got the notification. Vehicle motion detected. I was sitting in my home office, supposedly working on a project deadline, but really just staring at my screen, unable to focus. When my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. I opened the app. The footage was clear. Crystal clear. Lisa had pulled over in what looked like a commercial area. I could see a closed cafe sign in the background. She was looking at her phone, smiling, checking her makeup in the rearview mirror. The kind of preparation you make when you're about to see someone who matters. Then a black BMW pulled up beside her. A man got out, tall, fit, probably in his early 30s. Dark hair, expensive-looking suit even though it was 8 o'clock at night. He walked around to her passenger side. My hand was shaking as I held the phone. I should have stopped watching, but I couldn't. He got in. She leaned over immediately, and they kissed. Not a friendly kiss. Not an accidental kiss. A kiss between two people who had done this before. Many times before. They talked for a few minutes. I couldn't hear the audio, but their body language said everything. Intimate. Comfortable. Familiar. His hand rested on her thigh. She played with her hair the way she used to play with her hair when we first started dating. Then she put the car in drive. The GPS data from the camera showed they drove for about 15 minutes to a neighborhood I didn't recognize. She parked behind an abandoned shopping center, somewhere dark and private. I didn't need to see what happened next, but the camera saw everything. The motion-activated system captured it all. 18 minutes of footage that destroyed 6 years of marriage. The passenger seat, the same one I had cleaned just a week ago, where I'd found that tube, was exactly where everything happened. I watched the whole thing. Every second. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to kill whatever feelings I had left. Maybe I needed the anger to overwhelm the grief. Maybe I just needed to be absolutely certain. When it was over, they sat there for a while talking, laughing. She looked happier than I'd seen her in months. Then she drove him back to his car, they kissed again, and he left. She didn't come straight home. The GPS showed she stopped at a gas station, presumably to clean up and fix her appearance. She got home at 11:43 p.m. I was on the couch when she walked in, watching some mindless show I wasn't actually paying attention to. I looked up and smiled. "Hey babe, how was work?" "Oh my God, it was crazy. The presentation went long, and then David wanted to discuss the Q2 strategy for like 2 hours. I'm exhausted." She kicked off her heels and sighed dramatically. David, that was her boss. 50-something, happily married with 3 kids. I'd met him at company events. So she was even lying about who she was with. That sounds rough. You hungry? I saved you some pasta. No, I grabbed something at the office. I'm just going to take a shower and crash. I nodded. Okay, babe. She went upstairs. I heard the shower run for a long time. When she came down in her pajamas, she kissed me on the forehead, the kind of dutiful kiss a wife gives her husband, and said goodnight. I sat there in the dark after she went to bed, the TV casting flickering light across my face. I saved the footage, downloaded it, sent it to my personal email, backed it up in 3 different places. Then I uploaded it to a secure server with encryption. And then I waited. Again. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched her routine continue. She met him twice more. Same routine. Different locations. The camera captured everything. But I also did something else. I contacted a divorce attorney. A good one, recommended by a colleague who'd been through a messy split. I had a consultation, showed him the evidence, and asked what my options were. This is about as clear-cut as it gets, he said. With evidence like this, you're in a strong position. Depending on your state, infidelity might factor into asset division and alimony. What do I need to do? First, document everything, which you're already doing. Second, secure your finances. Third, don't do anything that could be construed as volatile or threatening. Stay calm, stay smart. When you're ready, we file. I thanked him and left his office feeling strangely calm. I had a plan. I had evidence. I had control over at least one aspect of this nightmare. That night at dinner, Lisa seemed happier than usual. She was talking about maybe taking a vacation in the summer, just the 2 of us somewhere tropical. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I know I've been stressed and distant lately. Work has just been insane. But I love you. You know that, right? I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd married. The woman I'd planned a life with. The woman who was lying to my face while planning her next encounter with a man whose name I still didn't even know. I know, I said. I love you too. She smiled, satisfied with my response. Inside, I was done. Completely, utterly done. The next morning was a Friday. Lisa had told me she was going to the gym early, then heading straight to the office for a full day of meetings. She kissed me goodbye at 6:30 a.m., her gym bag slung over her shoulder. I watched her car pull out of the driveway. Then I got to work. I'd been planning this moment for days. I moved efficiently, like I was executing a carefully debugged program. I packed 2 large suitcases with my essentials, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, important documents. I'd already moved most of my sentimental items to a storage unit over the past week, 1 or 2 boxes at a time, things she wouldn't notice missing immediately. I took my car keys, my passport, birth certificate, and social security card. I downloaded our financial records onto an encrypted drive. I photographed every room of the house for documentation purposes. Then I went to the kitchen. From my office printer, I'd already prepared something special. A single photo, printed in high quality, 8 by 10 inches. It was a still from the dashcam footage, Lisa and the man, kissing in her car. The timestamp was clearly visible in the corner. I taped it to the refrigerator. No words. No note. Just the picture. Then I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. I drafted the email days ago, revised it multiple times. It was brief, factual, emotionless. Subject: found something under your seat. Lisa, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I've filed for divorce. Papers are attached. My attorney will be in contact. The dashcam in your car has been recording for 3 weeks. All footage has been securely backed up. I wish you and your passenger seat companion well. Don't contact me. Any communication should go through my lawyer. Mark. Attached were the divorce papers, already filed with the court that morning. I'd paid extra for expedited service. She'd be served within 48 hours. I looked around our kitchen one last time. The coffee maker we'd bought together. The dining table where we'd hosted friends. The window where morning light always made her hair glow golden when she stood there. Then I hit send. I loaded my car, locked the house, and drove away. I didn't look back. I'd rented a small apartment across town, month-to-month lease, furnished. It was nothing special, one bedroom, basic kitchen, but it was mine. A clean slate. My phone started ringing around 10:30 a.m. Lisa. I declined the call. It rang again, and again, and again. I turned off the ringer. Text messages flooded in. Mark, what the hell is this? This is insane. We need to talk. Where are you? Please, you're overreacting. It's not what you think. Mark, please call me. I can explain everything. I deleted each one without reading past the first line. She called from different numbers, probably friends' phones. I blocked those too. Around 2 p.m., I got a call from my friend Jason. I answered. Dude, Lisa just called me freaking out. She said you left and won't talk to her. What's going on? I found out she was cheating. I filed for divorce. That's all anyone needs to know. Oh shit. Man, I'm really sorry. Do you need anything? I'm okay. I just need space and time. Understood. If you need anything, I'm here. Thanks, Jason. That was the conversation I had with most of our mutual friends over the next few days. Word spread quickly. The reactions were mixed. Some people were supportive. Others thought I was being extreme, that I should have tried counseling, that everyone makes mistakes. I didn't argue with anyone. I just quietly removed myself from the situation. Lisa tried to come to my new apartment once. I don't know how she found the address, probably followed me or hired someone. She knocked on the door around 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, about 2 weeks after I'd left. I looked through the peephole and saw her standing there, mascara running, looking like she hadn't slept. She knocked again. Mark, I know you're in there. Please. Please just talk to me. 5 minutes. I stood frozen on the other side of the door. It was a mistake. A stupid, horrible mistake. I was confused and stressed, and I know that's not an excuse, but please, we can work through this. Please don't throw away 6 years over this. I remained silent. She knocked again, harder. Mark, I heard my neighbor's door open. An older woman who lived across the hall. Miss, if you don't leave, I'm calling the police. I'm his wife. I don't care who you are. You're causing a disturbance. I heard Lisa sob, then footsteps retreating down the hall. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just empty. The divorce proceedings moved forward. With the evidence I had, her attorney advised her not to contest. It probably helped that I wasn't asking for much. I just wanted a clean break. We'd split our assets down the middle. The house was in both our names, so we'd sell it and split the proceeds. No alimony on either side. Her attorney tried to argue that the Dashcam constituted illegal surveillance, but in our state, it was perfectly legal to install a camera in your own vehicle, which technically it was. We'd bought the car during our marriage with joint funds. And there's no expectation of privacy in a vehicle parked in public spaces. Through mutual friends, I heard bits and pieces about her state of mind. She'd apparently ended things with the other guy immediately, whether by her choice or his. I didn't know or care. She'd told people she was devastated, and that I'd blindsided her. Blindsided. The word was almost funny. Jason told me she'd cried to him for an hour, saying it just happened, that she never meant to hurt me, that she still loved me. What did you say? I asked him. I told her she made her choices, and now she has to live with them. Hope that's okay. It's more than okay. Thanks for having my back. 3 months after I left, the divorce was finalized. I signed the papers in my attorney's office, reviewed the settlement one last time, and it was done. 6 years of marriage ended with a signature and a stamp. That night, I sat in my small apartment with a glass of whiskey, something I rarely drank, but the moment seemed to call for it. I thought about everything. The good years, the bad. The moment I found that tube. The decision to stay silent. The videos. The photo on the fridge. People asked me why I did it that way. Why I didn't confront her. Why I didn't give her a chance to explain. The truth is, I didn't need an explanation. I knew exactly what was happening. Confronting her would have led to lies, then gaslighting, then maybe partial truths, then eventually the full truth, but only after I'd been made to feel crazy for suspecting. And tears. There would have been so many tears. Apologies. Promises that it meant nothing. Begging for another chance. Maybe she would have convinced me to stay. Maybe I would have been weak enough to believe that we could move past it. But I didn't want to move past it. I didn't want to spend the next year, or 5 years, or 10 years wondering every time she was late from work. Looking at her passenger seat and remembering. Checking her phone. Becoming someone I didn't want to be. The silence was my power. It let me control the situation. It let me gather the evidence I needed. It let me plan my exit on my terms. And it denied her the opportunity to manipulate the narrative, to make me doubt what I knew to be true. Sometimes, revenge isn't about shouting or exposing someone publicly. It's not about trying to hurt them the way they hurt you. It's about walking away quietly, with your dignity intact, and letting the truth destroy them on its own. I heard through the grapevine that she'd kept the car, sold the house, split the proceeds with me, but kept her Honda Accord. I wondered if she still had the Dashcam, or if she'd found it and torn it out. I wondered if she'd replaced the passenger seat. Mostly, I wondered if every time she sat in that car, she remembered. The lies. The betrayal. The moment she came home to find a photo on the fridge and a husband who'd vanished. I hoped she did. Not because I wanted her to suffer, necessarily, but because actions have consequences, and silence, as it turns out, can speak louder than any words I could have shouted. 6 months later, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I got a promotion at work. I joined a gym. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my marriage. I went on a few dates, nothing serious, but it felt good to be seen as someone worthy of interest again. My apartment doesn't feel temporary anymore. I've made it home. Plants on the windowsill. Artwork on the walls. A sense of peace that I didn't have in that last year of my marriage, when I was living with someone who'd already left me emotionally, but I was too trusting to see it. I don't think about Lisa much anymore. When I do, it's with a strange sense of detachment, like remembering a character from a book I read years ago. The anger is gone. The hurt is mostly healed. What remains is a lesson that trust, once broken, can't be rebuilt with words, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away. The car is hers now, but every time she sits in that passenger seat, I hope she remembers the silence that ended us. The silence that said everything I never needed to speak aloud, because in the end, some betrayals don't deserve confrontation. They deserve nothing at all. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.